Hello, everybody. I would like to welcome you to our Supplemental Resource Committee meeting. This meeting is open to the public, and we encourage and welcome members of our community to observe the meeting. I would like to call our meeting to order at 4:33 p.m. Our first agenda item is 1.1 call to order and introductions. Before we begin introductions, we need to be mindful of using a microphone when we speak because our meeting is being recorded for public viewing. I'll start the introductions. Welcome, I am Zuzana Finn, Curriculum and Instruction Coordinator.
Hi, I'm Jamie Robarge. I'll be the new instructional coach at Westar.
I'm Vicki Johnson. I'm 7th and 8th grade social studies at Rainbow Valley.
Hi, Erica Daniel. I'm the Executive Director of School Effectiveness.
Hi, I'm Eric Nelson, 8th grade social studies teacher at Blue Horizons.
Hi, I'm Donnie Bond, and I'm an interested resident from Canamia.
I'm Natasha Camp. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Ed Services.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is 1.2, Purpose and Outcomes. Our purpose is to review the quality of supplemental materials and ensure the resources used for instruction meet district criteria. Our outcome will be review criteria, score supplemental resources, determine resources to recommend for 60-day review. Supplementary instructional resource is defined as an instructional resource intended as a supplement to the primary instructional resource to enrich and enhance the learning. Teachers may choose from among a district-approved list to take into consideration students' interests, learning styles, abilities, and maturity level to best meet the needs of students or student groups. Supplementary instructional resources may also serve to support gaps in curriculum and line of primary instructional resources. Moving along to agenda item 1.3 is the review of criteria for scoring. This committee will discuss the criteria used to score all supplemental materials. The scoring rubric was the same for all recommended supplemental resources. I am going to go through the items on the rubric. The first one was material is aligned to Arizona High Academic Learning Standards, and there were 3 options: either does not meet expectations, meets expectations, or exceeds expectations. These 3 criteria were also for every single other item I was going to mention now. The number 2 was research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. Number 3 was material is appropriate for the intended audience, considering age, emotional development, ability level, maturity level, learning styles, and social development of students. Number 4, material is balanced, showing multiple perspectives without bias. Number 5, material fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. Number 6, program uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond. And then number 7 was just an opportunity for additional comments for committee to consider. So next item up on our agenda is 1.4, discussion of Arizona clean elections. I'm going to pull up the results of clean elections. Oh, I apologize. So next is iCivics. I'm going to pull up the results for iCivics. Okay. And we're just going to go through the results. But before we do this, let me just give you a little overview of the program that we have here. iCivics is the nation's premier nonprofit civic education provider of high quality, nonpartisan, engaging, and free resource to more than 9 million students annually in all 50 states. iCivic's first of its kind digital civic library includes more than 260 curricular resources, digital literacy tools, professional learning materials, and educational video games. The primary use of this resource will be in social studies in middle school. So I am going to pull up the results from the rubrics that we shared with the committee members. The very first question was, and you'll see it also on the screen, is the resource aligned to Arizona High Academic Learning Standards? As you look at the results, you'll see that 66.7% of responses believe that this highly exceeded expectations, and 33.3% stated it met expectations. The next one, is it visible? Okay. The next question was, research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have meeting expectations 33.3%, and again 66.7% exceeding expectations. Third question was, material is appropriate for the intended audience considering age, emotional development, ability level, maturity level, learning styles, and social development of students. Exceeding expectations was 66.7%, meeting was 33.3%. Next question was, material is balanced, showing multiple perspectives without bias. We have 66.7% exceeding expectations and 33.3% meeting. Next question was, material fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. Again, we have 66.7% exceeding and 33.3% meeting expectations. Next question was, program uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in the classroom and beyond. Again, we have 66.7% exceeding expectations, 33.3% meeting expectations. I would also like to add the comments that we have that were provided. First comment regarding this resource says, fills a gap in the adopted curriculum. Second one says, fills the gap in adapted curriculum. Third one says, program fills gaps in curriculum. Fourth one says, fills gap in Unit 1 when it comes to teaching about the U.S. Constitution, which is a state standard. And the last comment says, encourage group discussions of key concepts to make sure independent studies actually grasp. So I would like to open, these are the results that we have, and I shared the comments as well. I would like to open this up for discussion. If we have any comments or regarding this resource, or would like to add anything.
I have seen the iCivics website a lot, and it really does meet the needs in a very non-biased. It's completely, students can role play if they ran a legal firm. Which amendments, does this case, question, that kind of stuff. There's nothing about any sort of actual anybody in office for anything. It is literally, this is how our system works in a great way for kids to grasp. There's games, there's great lessons. And so I think that it is something that we knew when we took Savvis, which was a great curriculum, that civics was an area of weakness because nothing is perfect. And I'd say that this is a great option to fill those gaps.
One of the things that I noticed, I actually was looking at this resource only for 6-8. However, I was able to see that it could support even our K-5 teachers as supplemental. And I'm glad to see a scope and sequence that's attached with it. I did have a question, and maybe somebody else knows this, but it says that the resources are hyperlinked, but I can't actually click on the resources. Did you notice that? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm like, why is it not clicking?
Did you enter it as, did you set up an account at all as an educator or as a parent or anything like that?
I believe I did.
Okay, because when I'm in as my teacher account, then I can access anything that I need to. I don't know I know that parents have other games and stuff available to them that I've just not looked at because they're not applicable to what I'm doing in the classroom. But it's a free Google, whatever, and it links really nicely to Google Classroom, by the way, that we can post, we can assign things here, and it will post in Google Classroom should you choose to.
I did see the option for Google Classroom. Eric, do you want
So I used iCivics back in my old district before I got here, and I just remember it was a really nice activity when we were talking about like the three branches of government, and it was a way to keep like students engaged in government, but also related to themselves. So basically, the idea is you break the students up into three different groups, and they reenacted the roles of the three branches of government by creating a lunch menu for their school. So it's just something that they can like go through the element, which is not so like it really brings it down to, students who may not be achieving as highly in social studies, which allows them to get real world experience in something that they may not be interested in, which encourages learning.
I'm just excited that we are focusing more on the democracy of our country, and I'm just excited of all the new programs that we have and the resources that are available.
Yes, I've seen before the scope and sequence that it is applicable to all those grades. Is that something that if we were to approve it here, that they would have access to then as well? Okay, good.
So I'm just curious, what is the cost of this program to the district?
This is a free resource, free public resource by the Supreme Court.
Okay. We're going to move to the next agenda item, which is 1.5, discussion of Library of Congress. So I pulled up the results of our rubric from the Library of Congress, and I'll scroll down. So the very first question again was, the material is aligned to Arizona High Academic Learning Standards. Again, we have 66.7% exceeding expectations and 33.3% meeting. The second question was, research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have 16.7% exceeding expectations and 83.3% meeting expectations. Question number 3, material is appropriate for the intended audience considering age, emotional development, ability level, maturity level, learning styles, and social development of students. 33.3% said it exceeded expectations and 66.7% said it met expectations. Next question, material is balanced, showing multiple perspectives without bias. We have 50-50 exceeding expectations and meeting expectations, 50% each. Next one is material fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, and intervene. We have 33.3% exceeding expectations and 66.7% meeting expectations. Next question was, program uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in the classroom and beyond. And we have 100% of meeting expectations. And we have some comments also that go with the evaluation. The first comment states primary documents to enhance teaching curriculum. Second one is, this is the resource Congress uses to do its research, a comprehensive source for primary documents. Third comment, primary documents are needed for standard alignment. Fourth comment is, this is a resource that allows students to access primary source documents, which are used by Congress to help them make decisions. And then we have a question that says cost. There was a question about cost. So again, I would like to open this up for any further discussion.
I have to say, when I was filling out the survey, I struggled a little bit with the research-based because it is literally just the research, it's just the documents. So to say that it exceeds, it can't say it's peer reviewed because it is the research to begin with, or that's what the Congress uses. And if we need to teach these civics standards, we have to have access to the primary source documents. And we could put 20 websites on here to find, the Supreme Court and all the different places, but to find all the things in one place, this seemed to be the most comprehensive of all of them. And the same thing when you're talking about the uses current technology. Well, it doesn't have games because that's not its purpose. It is an archive. but it does have videos. It has audio clips. It has all those as far as technology for the resources. And then it is free because it is the Library of Congress. There is no cost to schools.
One thing I think is appreciative, especially as a district, it allows us to get primary source documents, which we can use in our instruction, but also allows us to be cross-curricular with ELA because a lot of their writing is sources and using evidence-based, which that allows us as social studies teachers to help support the ELA teachers when it comes to the writing tests and the writing examples that they have to do.
I was just noticing also that, within some of the delineated lesson plans, right? I mean, you can go down to an actual lesson plan as a teacher, and there is a teacher tab and a student tab, right, within the lesson plan. So, what does that look like for teachers with objectives and lesson preparation and materials and resources being used, but then also from the student perspective of this is what we are going to do and these are the steps we're going to take as we're going through this primary resource.
To be honest, I've never even looked at those lessons because we've got great stuff if we were to use iCivics. That's just one that I've used as the primary source. However, that intrigues me.
I also see a primary source analysis tool. And Jamie, you should be talking about this. You're like making notes over there. Which again, providing more access for our kids to interact with primary sources, right? Critical thinking. And then, like Eric was saying, the transfer of that into ELA. So I see really good resources in here.
Something else that includes that I know as a district focus is concept mapping. So different concepts are mapped in there, which I think will be beneficial. The one thing I did notice, they are teacher created lesson plans, which we know can be a positive or a negative depending on the lesson plan.
No, it's free.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move along to agenda item 1.6, discussion of Peer Research Center. I will provide a little background information about the resource first. Peer Research Center is a nonpartisan fact tank that informs the public about the issues, attitudes, and trends shaping the world. They conduct public opinion polling, demographic research, content analysis, and other data-driven social science research. They do not take policy positions. I'm going to now pull up the results. And again, this will be a resource used for social studies, just like the previous two. So the first question was, is this resource aligned to Arizona High academic learning standards? We have 20% saying exceeding expectations and 80% meeting expectations. Second question was, research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have 60% exceeding expectations and 40 meeting expectations. Next question, material is appropriate for the intended audience, considering age, emotional development, ability level, maturity level, learning styles, and social development of students. 40% exceeding expectations and 60% meeting expectations. Next question was, material is balanced, showing multiple perspectives without bias. We have 60% exceeding expectations, 40 meeting expectations. Next question was, material fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. 100% stated it meets expectations. Next one is, program uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond. We have 20% exceeding expectations, 80 meeting expectations. And then I'm sharing some comments that went also with the rubric. So the first comment states, used for macroeconomics supplementals. Second one, this site provides the statistics needed to address our macroeconomic standards. Next one is, this gives students the ability to use real-world information to support the macroeconomic standards in a real-world sense. And the last comment says, provides current data and statistics without bias to enhance student learning engagement. So again, I would like to open this up for any further discussion or comments you might have.
This reason why this would be a good resource for us to adopt is basically, again, it's the idea of like I said, Canvas is a really good resource. It's excellent. It's really good for the history standards that we have, but when it comes to the macro, we have already adopted material for the microeconomics. This will help us supplement for the macroeconomic standards that are in the areas that we need to teach in Arizona.
And just to clarify, when we talk about macro and microeconomics is small here in my bubble. That's the personal finance part. And then macroeconomics would be world's, supply, demand, how countries interact with each other, capitalism versus how different systems work across the world. And unless you have current data, it's really hard to have conversations about those things. And even if it was in SABIS fully, this is updated, so SABIS will age. We will still be able to use it, but this is current research. When I was doing my master's degree about a decade ago, if any of my sources came from Pew Research Center, I knew that it was good. It may not give me the answers I want. Maybe it's not what I'm aiming for, but it is. You can't say, is this research based or not? Because again, like Library of Congress, this is the resource. This is the research. There aren't games. It is literally just the statistics we would use to teach these macroeconomic concepts.
I think from my point of view, I don't know that I necessarily see kids getting onto this website. And maybe we can talk about this. I see teachers getting onto this website to gather data visualizations, graphs, that they would either copy and paste up into their slides that they're using that day. So can we talk a little bit more about? It doesn't look student friendly to me. So I think it's more the teacher is utilizing it and then showing the kids those visualizations in a different platform.
Oh, absolutely. As an adult researcher, it was overwhelming at times. It has a plethora of resources on, topics that the teacher would just choose what is appropriate for the lesson they're teaching at that moment. And that's what we're doing is we're meeting our standards. And again, it just gives us the material that we need to meet it. I would never say, hey, kids, here you go, have fun, because it wouldn't serve a purpose. There is no learning or no purpose there. And I'm not in the job of just keeping my kids busy by throwing them on a website. That doesn't make sense. This is literally a tool that I will use to drive my instruction to meet the state standards.
I just felt this. I had the same feeling. It did not feel student friendly. So I was like, how are we going to use this? But Vicki clarified. So thank you.
I think there was a connection also that another social studies teacher was making about data analysis, perhaps, and mathematics.
Yes.
So I wasn't in on the conversation, but does somebody want to try to summarize what that was?
My understanding was that social studies and middle school mathematics both covered, using this resource, both covered the area of statistics that starts in 6th grade going up, and it was heavily supported in 8th grade.
That makes sense.
Well, I'm always concerned about if this is a free program or not, and I'm excited to hear that possibly it is.
If we had to pay for it, I wouldn't trust the statistics because then they could be skewed. The fact that it's free gives validity to the research, in my opinion.
Okay, so we're going to move along to agenda item 1.7, discussion of Arizona clean elections. I am going to just provide a little bit of background information about the resource. Through the successful implementation of the Arizona Citizens Clean Elections Act, the Commission seeks to improve the integrity of Arizona state government and promote public confidence in the Arizona political process. The primary use of this website will be in social studies again. So I'm going to go through, over the results and then open it up for further discussion. Again, when we asked the question, is this resource aligned to Arizona high academic learning standards? We had 80% exceeding expectations and 20% meeting expectations. Question, research shows that the program or materials are evidence-based. We have 20% exceeding and 80% meeting expectations. Material is appropriate for the intended audience considering age, emotional development, ability level, maturity level, learning styles, and social development of students. 40% exceeded expectations and 60% met expectations. Material is balanced, showing multiple perspectives without bias. We have 80% exceeding expectations and 20% meeting. Material fills gaps in curriculum and or supports differentiation of learning for students so teachers can enrich, extend, remediate, or intervene. So we have 20% exceeding expectations, 60% meeting expectations, and then we have 20% not meeting expectations. The next question was, a program uses current relevant technology that further engages interactive learning and can be used in a classroom and beyond. We have 40% exceeding expectations, 60% meeting expectations. And here are some comments that go with the rubric. Civics, election year. Second comment was, this provides factual voter information for our civics engagement standards. Next one is updated information and voting processes, state of Arizona election. Next one is, this helps satisfy current event standards and is a high interest topic, since it is an election year. And then there was a comment saying need more info. So I would like to open this up for further discussion or comments.
This one, again, being free makes you trust it more. You know, anytime something is paid, you wonder about motivation. Here we are telling kids about the civic process. Here is how to be civically engaged. One of the rights that you have as a citizen is to vote, and you have the right to be informed. And so also within social studies and in ELA, we talk about trusting the source, like evaluating sources. And so if you have a non-biased, very diverse group on purpose, creating voter information on all candidates or all topics or all measures, anything going on, I think that that's important for our kids to know, because in 5 years, 6 years, they will be voters. And it's important for them to know to not just trust social media or what Joe Bob said down at Circle K, or whatever. But they also specifically have a youth voting section here that has lessons. I actually was down at the county recorder's office on a field trip, unrelated, a while ago, and she was showing us how you can put in your zip code. They have huge maps where you can put in your zip code and figure out exactly who's running. And even if we all have 85326, there still might be different legislative district. There might be things different in different areas based on school district or whatever. So I really love the interactive part where it makes it really personal, and the kids can see, this is what's going on in my neighborhood right now. And personally, as I look at this resource and the options that we have with civics and really really getting into this, I'm excited for the possibility of kids teaching their parents about the importance of civic engagement. And just looking at, what's going on in our district in general. That's your right, in this country, is to have your voice heard. So that's the part that excites me, to be able to provide them with the real, just like the Pew Research Center, pulling what I need to meet the needs, but it is really about unbiased information. Like in the classroom, and maybe I'm going off topic a little bit, in classroom, you can't tell your kids who you vote for. Teachers can't. That's just part of being a public servant. There is no anything. I foster conversation, and that's it. I referee sometimes, but that good, passionate conversation is what we want to hear. We want kids to hear multiple perspectives. And so just giving the information is all that it is. Does that make sense? Okay.
So do you expect children to take sides, because that's what I see. When you see who's running, they're going to hear what they heard at home and may or may not have an opinion, and then you've got to referee that at school. And I'll just say on my own personal experience, when I was in third grade and I said who the teacher asked us who we were to vote for, and I voted for somebody, and I went home and told my dad, and he goes, "Oh no, that's wrong." So I'm just speaking as a parent on a concern on that.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that is my responsibility, just as much as these other standards, is modeling and expecting civil discourse. And that may be something that's lacking anyway, just in our culture today. Is, in fact, I don't know, you haven't been in my classroom. I have a sign at the front. Let's agree to disagree. Great. Okay. Now share your perspective. And that's the part that I expect. And I would honestly never ask a kid, who's voting for this? I would give them the same level of privacy with their votes. And I would teach them to respect the privacy of the other students, just because that's what we're supposed to do as civics teachers. Does that make sense? And I think that we have a different perspective as teachers, recognizing the responsibility that we have, recognizing the diverse perspectives of the homes that our kids come from. And that is my job. I mean, that is what we do here. So parents may be more passionate about that because that's their perspective. And I respect that too. But we know what our job is, and that is to just that civil discourse.
I just didn't want to put you in a position where you were going to have to deal with.
But then I'd have that conversation with the parent. Let's have civil discourse. Had that conversation before.
I think to me, one of the strengths of this site is the civics classroom curriculum, which, you know, truly the purpose of it is to inspire future participation in voting, right? Like, are we educating our students about the importance of fulfilling their right to vote? And it does also, it spans from 12th grade to fourth grade. So I do think, you know, that there are options for our fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade teachers to utilize the curriculum, part of the Clean Elections website.
I think it also allows us to, again, not just the standards, but allows us to make connections between what we're talking about in our first unit, which is the U.S. Constitution, to Arizona. Again, we're allowed to then students get information again, which allows it to kind of make it closer to home, which allows them to maybe make more connections to the standards and what, you know, the Arizona standards, like the national government, and how it works more in an individual or a state level, which allows more understanding for the standards which we're focused on.
Yeah, the iCivics this is how big picture our system works, and this is the nitty gritty of this is your part in it. Does that make sense?
I also, again, don't necessarily see students maybe being on the site. I think it's more of teachers are on the site. They're downloading the information that they need. It's not a student-friendly site. It's more definitely a teacher resource site for you to gain what you need to enhance the lesson. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. Like I said, just like the Pew Research, again, it's allowing teachers the opportunity to teach standards and make connections with our standards in a more, you know, not like a student-friendly website, but allow us to, you know, implement them and allow us to change it a little bit to make it more student relatable.
I'd just like to say thank you very much for your thorough answers. I appreciate that.
Okay, so now it's time to make some big decisions. Agenda item 1.8, recommendations for governing board to consider approval for 60-day public review. The committee will now determine whether or not we recommend AZ Clean Elections, Library of Congress, Pew Research Center, and iCivics for governing board approval for 60-day public review. Since we just finished the AZ Clean elections, we'll just start right there. Thumbs up for yes if you recommend. Thumbs to the side if you can live with the recommendation, and thumbs down if you do not recommend. So if you can all share your vote. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 thumbs up and 1 thumb to the side. Okay. We're going to move on to the Library of Congress. Do you recommend it? So again, thumbs up, thumbs to the side, or thumbs down. We have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 thumbs up. Thank you. Pew Research Center, do you recommend it? So thumbs up, thumbs to the side, and thumbs down. We have 1, 2, 3 thumbs up and 3 to the side. Am I counting it correctly? Yeah, I think so. And then the last one is iCivics. Do you recommend it? Thumbs up, thumbs to the side, or thumbs down. And we have all thumbs up. 3, 6, 7. Okay, so thank you. So lastly, agenda item 1.9 is the adjournment of the meeting. I just want to thank you for taking your time from your busy schedule to come and join us today and participate in the Supplemental Resource Committee. Everybody have a wonderful evening, and I adjourn this meeting at 5:09 p.m. Oh, there.